don't know what's happened to me. It's like somebody has sucked the life force clean out of my body and embellished my soul in a 3D printed casket. Hi, I'm Steve from 123D. Today we are going to do an unbox and first thoughts review of this beastie on the table. This is the Creality K2 Pro. I'm not sure what the Pro stands for, but we will find out shortly. Stay tuned. So I will proceed to move these little plastic clippers because it is a heavy machine. So they clip to the side of the box, holding the bottom of the box to the top of the box so you can lift the box. Because if they didn't have these, the box would implode. The printer would fall out the bottom of the box and then you wouldn't have a printer. That's my theory and I'm sticking to it. Lots of foam. First up, we have the labels in the way. We have the quick start guide and stickers. We have a box of bits. So in here there looks to be spare blades for the filament cutter, grease, glue stick, Allen keys, a wrench, a needle, and some thermal grease, side cutters, all the normal bits and pieces you would expect to see. So next I have a part spool of filament. I have a bag for the CFS unit, so PTFE tube and cables. I have a filament spoolie holder. I have a screen. I have a buffer. I have a cable and a big slab of foam. Carefully manipulate that out. Get rid of that. Spin the box around. Woe behold the front of the machine. This could be a challenge. Where's Dan? If you do suffer with spinal problems, I wouldn't recommend that you do that. I would get some helping hands and always make sure you keep your back straight and bend your knees. Otherwise you might prolapse.
My back! Oh, my back!
So here on the side we have a big brown envelope which contains the lid. I actually thought it was a build plate, but it's not, it's a lid. The lid. So I'll pop that on there for now, because if I don't pop it on there, I'll put it on the floor. The chances are I'll kick it and it will be broken. I'll leave that one there with a little green label for now, because that's holding the ribbon cable for the screen. First thing we need to do is get inside, because we've got screws to remove. So I shall take out the little set of Allen keys. Big shout out to Alan for lending us more of his keys. Alan! This man has more keys than a jailer. A little bit mindful of the door, because it doesn't bend past that point, so you don't want to put any excess force on it, because otherwise you're going to break something. Uncle Jesse will be leaving a big laughing crying emoji face in the comments. Jesse, if you watch our videos, please, just for Chris's own benefit, leave a big laughing crying face emoji in the comments. You know you want it. I have some screws marked with little green dots, so I shall remove them first. And if I remember rightly from my experiences of unboxing the K2 Plus, I found it very awkward, if I'm being perfectly honest, in getting this bracket out, because it don't give you a lot of room. And I have relatively small hands. If you had hands like shovels, you would very much struggle. But don't let that put you off. Use a flexible shaft. A flexible shaft. It just allows you to get in there and, you know, without having to jam your hands inside, taking all the skin off your knuckles. They are very long screws. I wonder if Mr. Creality has a surplus of screws. I know how we can get rid of all these screws. We'll use them as transport screws. The unit is free, I think. I'm going to have to move the lid. I'll put the lid there. Stay. Will this now? Oh, it will. Now that might actually give me a little bit more room to get the rest of the bits out. As you can see, we've got a lot of flaggy labels. So these are the ones I'm on about here, down in the side. For reference, that is a 2.5mm Allen key. So these are very tight, and for whatever reason, they've also got thread lock on them. We don't need that. Have this little brace here at the top, which is a 1.5mm Allen key. I was wrong. Very hard to see because they're like tucked in behind the belts, but they're actually screwed in from underneath. And we don't need those. Next up, we've got these little dooblies here. So these are basically brackets that hold the lead screw in place, stop it bending, and it's basically just clipped across the lead screw to the smooth rods either side. Just unclip those. And I think they also prevent the CFS unit from also banging around side to side. Please tear off the sticker before use. So we'll do that now while we can see it, and it's fresh in my memory. Otherwise we might forget about it and leave it there. The only other thing that I can think of for the unpackaging side of things before we assemble things is we have 4 yellow arrows on the base of the machine. For any of you guys that are familiar with this system, you'll know what these are. Again, these are transport screws, basically securing the build plate down to the base of the machine for shipping purposes. So we don't need those, and no doubt through the calibration it will tell us to actually remove them, but we're one step ahead of the game. So as you can see, quite long. Okay, and then here we've got this little tab. Gently peel it off, being careful because that just holds the ribbon cable in place. The back of the screen, little label giving you more instructions. So basically it's telling us to pop the cable through the little slot like so, and then carefully pop that into the socket on the back. It's not the easiest to see inside because there's quite a deep channel. I think that's in. Slide that in, clip it across, screen fitted. And now we'll get the lid, and it's very well taped up. Our CFS unit. The next thing we'll need is this bag, which contains lots of other bags. So it is bags within a bag.
It's like Inception, Morty.
We have a short tube, we have a long tube, we have a spool holder tube, we have a spare tube, we have a 45cm cable, we have a 100cm cable. Now, on my first unboxing of the Plus version, I had to resort to online instructions because there was nothing within that machine that told me how this all went together. But on this one, every bag tells you exactly where said part needs to go. I think what we will do is we'll start with the buffer, and this little bag labelled buffer screws. And then there's a little picture on there showing us whereabouts on the back of the machine said buffer goes. So from the very, very small diagram, I can see one hole is pointing that way. So I'm going to pop one of the screws in there and grab my Allen key and then loosely put the first screw in and get my next one, line that up, just snug them down, don't go mad because you'll end up pulling the screw straight through the plastic body of the buffer, and then I don't know what you'll have to do. You'll have to resort to some crude tactics like double-sided tape or something, super glue. No, I definitely wouldn't recommend super glue. Next, we shall attach this short tube. So short tube goes from here. So make sure it's pushed home. It's a self-locking collar. To remove it, you press the collar in, pull the tube out. So pop that in there. The other end goes into there. And again, make sure it's seated all the way in, because this is the part where your filament's going to basically come from the unit, fall into one, and feeds to the extruder. So that bit is done. Next, we'll add the spoolie holder. Little sticker on the back of the machine. 2 arrows pointing to 2 screws. So we need to pop these screws out. Don't lose them because we are putting them back in. So that is that fitted. We do have a PTFE tube. So if you're not using the CFS unit, or you're going to print with TPU or something like that that can't run through the CFS unit, then you will use the external spool holder. So basically your filament will load on, come up here, the tube sits on there and goes to here. We'll keep that because we don't need it now, but we may need it later. The long tube goes from here on the CFS unit. So again, it's the same push fitting. That's pushed in, and then this side of the buffer you've got 4 holes. Doesn't matter which one you put it in, the plumbing is complete. Now we will give the plumbing some power so it works. So this cable, so we've got a little socket here on this side. I don't think it really matters, to be honest, which one it goes into, because they're both 6 pins. So we'll pop that into there, and then the other end pops in there. So this long cable wants to be on the right hand side looking at the back of the machine. This shorter cable, we go in that one next to, and then the other side plugs into the top of the buffer like so. Before we infuse it with some elastic trickery.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Right, so plugs in the back of the machine, turn on the power, flick the switch. We We have power. So let it boot up and then see what it tells us to do. Straight into the language selection. The machine already knows I'm English. Okay, so English. We shall click next because I am English. Welcome to Creality 3D printer. Please keep the green cube in the diagram clear of debris and click next. If you look inside the machine, I don't have a green cube. Where's the green cube? We are clear. Next. Privacy policy, always an interesting read. Next up, so we can connect to Wi-Fi. I'm going to skip that part for now because who wants to see me punching Wi-Fi? Nobody. Next. Area. I am international. I am not mainland China. Self-check. Welcome to the self-check process. Number 1. Check the print bed is seated on the build plate. That's back to front. Print bed, build plate. So that's the wrong way around. Basically, make sure this is in the machine, located in the little tabs on the corners and clips down with a magnetical force. Number 2, the self-check process is expected to take around 16 minutes. So once we press start detecting, it'll be time to migrate, go off, have yourself some coffee, talk to the love of your life. Start. So shut the door and leave it to do its thing.
A few moments later.
So self-check completed. So I shall click OK and there we are. We have the graphical display. Before we proceed any further, it's probably a good time to give a brief overview. For those of you who aren't aware, this is a Core XY machine. In simple terms, the Z-axis, the bed, moves down away from the extruder, and the extruder basically travels in the X and Y directions. Inside, we have a filter, little clippy lid, so you can change out the filter. At the bottom, you have a heater. Here, you have a thermistor. So a thermistor is basically a mini thermostat that is going to measure the temperature inside the chamber and then turn the heater on and off as required. The bed is suspended on 4 smooth rods, 2 on each side, that are driven up and down via 2 lead screws. Then on the left hand side of the machine you have this big fan housing, so basically the outlet for the fan is at approximately the same height as the nozzle, so when you're printing that layer you've got a constant draft of air blowing across the top of your print. We also have the poop chute. And again, there's a label at the back. It says, please clean waste residue at least once every 24 hours to prevent blocking the waste outlet. So it's always worth just checking in there, make sure that there's no leftover filament purges that are jamming up, because if it backs up and builds up, you'll end up with a block. The printer will detect that and flag an error. So just make sure it's clean. So the X and Y axis are driven via belts on smooth rods, and the actual X axis is driven on belts again, but the extruder travels along a linear rail that is mounted on top of the gantry plate. CFS unit. Inside the CFS unit you have 2 of these little flaps mounted in the base. If you take the flap off, you have a bag of silica beads. These come in sealed bags, so you need to take them out the sealed bags, because if you don't, they won't work. Once you've done that, pop it back in, clip the little cover back into place and repeat it for the other one on the opposite side. That is pretty much ready to load up with filament. We have a 4-colour benchy, and if that is correct, that we can print a 4-colour benchy in 31 minutes, I'll be quite impressed. Now we need 4 colours. It's going to do some camera magic. And as if by magic. One of the key things when loading your filament, always make sure that you've got a bit of an angle snip back on it. It just makes it a little bit easier for the machine. So simply feed the filament in until it picks it up and spins it all by itself. And then I shall proceed on to the next one. As we're demonstrating here, our own brand spools fit in the CFS unit perfectly. Next, and the last one. Superb. As you can see, we now have 4 lights all illuminated. On the display, the temperature inside the unit and the relative humidity, which is currently sat quite high. It is dropping now. I mean, the filament we're using PLA, so it's not really going to be affected by that. Printing with PETG or ABS or whatever, it's always worthwhile leaving them in the unit with the actual lid clip closed, because it will draw out any excess moisture into those silica bead bags. Hopefully keep your filament drier for longer, or you may prefer to dry the filament first in a filament dryer, then transition it to the CFS unit, seal it in, and then it will be kept dry, away from all of the relative humidity in the atmosphere. So I am going to click on the 4-colour bench sheet. Now it's already pre-assigned certain colours. If you want to swap them around, you can do, but we're just going to test the machine. Currently, checkboxes: enable CFS, yes. Calibration is also ticked, yes. Print, preparing to print. So while it's doing its thing, print volume. Basically, the machine's capable of printing 300 millimeters cubed. So it is very good for making 300 millimeter cube boxes. Multicolour 3D cube boxes. Preheating to 180, and then I will imagine it will scrub the nozzle, which it did. So basically any excess filament that's oozing out of the nozzle will be left on that back of the plate. Now it's waiting for the temperature to cool to 140. We also have a built-in camera as well. So if you're using Creality print, you can remotely monitor your printing. So we've got a USB port on the side of the machine next to the spoolie holder. You've also got an RFID chip reader. So Creality's own filament comes with RFID chips. So if you pop that on there or in the CFS unit, the machine will automatically know what material type and what colour it is. So it's purged out. There was a little bit of white in there. What's been tested with at the factory. Oh no, that's a lie. We have blue. We have a blue poop. Blue. If you ever have a blue poop, please, please, please go and see your local GP or call 111. You might have eaten crayons or something coloured blue. So I guess what we shall do is we shall pause there and we shall jump straight back when we are finished. But so far, so good. We have a finished print completed in 36 minutes. Let us remove. So, first thing that I can see is it actually sticks to the plate very well. Pops off very well. And the purge tower, I don't know why Creality felt the need to put a brim on a benchy, but they did. But it came straight off. We shall assess. The overall quality, feeling the surface, it has printed very, very well. Zero stringing on the overhangs on the cabin. The actual roof of the cabin has printed out very nicely, so there's no drooping, no stragglers of filament hanging around anywhere where we don't want them. Overall, a success. And the reason for the purge tower, I will gather the evidence. Bat it all over the floor! So, what is happening here is when it's transitioned from silver to blue, you will see that resonated in the poop. Silver, blue. So this is what's happening. This is a byproduct of the colour change. Basically what it's done is retracted the filament through the CFS unit. It's fed in the new colour, and then it's purged filament through the nozzle to clear out the old colour before it starts the new colour. And then the purge tower basically is another iteration of that. So it's once it's actually changed the filament and purged out the old material, it wants to make sure that the nozzle's primed with the new material or your next colour before it commences printing again, hence the purge tower. And overall it's done a nice job. I've got no colour bleed, so that would indicate to me that it's purged adequate material to get the old colour out before start printing with the new. A very, very, very good result. So what we will do now, we will slice something a little bit bigger and we will put the results of that on screen for you guys at home roundabout now, and I shall give you my overall thoughts on this machine. As I've said in the past, Creality have upped their game in terms of the machines that they're producing now. They've started to focus a little bit more on what the actual consumer wants and the quality of the products they're actually putting out. And this doesn't really show anything wavering from that strategy. It's exactly the same build quality as the K2 Plus, this just being a smaller variant. So for those of you who don't require a 350 cubed build volume, this one would replace effectively the K1 Max. So you've got this, as I said previously, is a 300mm cube build volume, but you've got the added advantage of the CFS. So if you want multicolour, you can print multicolour. You can link up to 4 of these units together, so you've got then 16. My maths is working. You've got the capability to print up to 16 colours if you want to. Overall, the machine is, as you've seen, very easy to set up. You've got a bit of packaging to remove from it and whatever else, but the actual process for getting it set up once you've done all that is relatively easy. You're going to be up and printing relatively quickly And as you can see, through the short time that we've been recording, we have now dropped down to 43% humidity, which is a good sign. Yeah, so overall, quite impressed. It's a decent solid piece of kit, very weighty, definitely a two-man lift, and it does state on the box, team lift. Take your time setting it up, follow the on-screen instructions, revert to the user manual if you need to. Yeah, if you are interested in this machine or any other machine from Creality, please check out the link in the description. If you've got any questions about this machine or any other machine, please drop it in the comments box below. If you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. That means a lot. You know, we are trying to grow the channel as much as we possibly can. Anyway, that's it from me. Goodbye for now. I will see you on the next one.
As always, we aim to have the most competitive 3D printer prices on the market. If you see any of our printers being sold by a mainstream retailer for less, please drop us an email using the link in the description and we'll do our very best to beat their price. Also, if you're watching from outside the UK, check the description for links to our European 123 3D sister stores.